Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loki here. Join me today as we sow Snapdragon seeds. So let's go. Snapdragons are considered an annual here where I live in New Hampshire Zone 5B. When it comes to starting snapdragons from seed, you'll often see that you want to start those seeds 10 to 12 weeks before your average last frost date. However, if you can provide some sort of protection to your plants, you can actually start snapdragon seeds earlier than that. In fact, you can usually start them about 12 to 16 weeks before your average last frost date, and I'll go over that in a little bit. The first thing you need to know when sowing any seed is what is your average last frost date. If you're not sure, I'll put a link to a great website down below, or you can just do an internet search. You can search on when is my average last frost date and put in either your location or your zip code. I'm definitely starting my snapdragon seeds earlier than I ever have before. So today is January 20th. If I count backwards from my average last frost date, which is May 15th, we're about 16 weeks away from my average last frost date. Snapdragons are considered a cool season plant, and since I live in a cool location, I can actually have a nice sizable transplant that I can put in my landscape about 6 to 8 weeks before my average last frost date. So based on that, I can put a nice size snapdragon transplant out in my landscape between March 20th and April 3rd. Of course, I'm going to have to be monitoring the temperature. The nighttime temperatures are okay if they're hovering around the freezing mark. However, if I get a hard freeze, I'm going to lose my plants. So I'm going to have to protect them if that's the case. It's faith in gardening, but it's also me being realistic in watching the temperatures and my weather. So if you're going to do what I'm doing and you're going to be starting your plants early, be prepared to monitor the temperatures and protect the plants if needed. Or to play it safe, just start your seeds 10 to 12 weeks before your average last frost date. When it comes to seed starting, I prefer to multi-sow my seeds, which means I like to sow a whole bunch of seeds in a small restaurant takeout container. And I do that for a number of reasons. One reason is it initially saves space under my grow lights. Another reason is only the seeds that are viable are going to germinate. In other words, if I sow a whole bunch of seeds in here and only some of them are viable, only those ones will germinate. Then what I can do is prick out the seeds that have germinated and pot them up. You don't have to multi-sow your seeds. If you prefer to sow them directly into 6 cell packs or into pots or containers, you can do that as well. But just know that that will take up more room under your grow lights, and also some of the seeds may not germinate, so you may have empty cells. But no matter what pot or container you use, you want to make sure that there are drainage holes in the bottom. I'll be sowing my seeds in a DIY seed starting mix. If you want, you can use any potting mix that you have handy. I like to start my seeds in seed starting mix, and then eventually when I pot up my seedlings, they move into a potting mix. For my seed starting mix, I like to use 2 parts of peat moss, but you can use cocoa coir if you like. And then I like to add 1 part of vermiculite. I have coarse vermiculite. You can use fine if you want. And then I sprinkle the top with pulverized dolomitic lime. And I use that with peat moss. You don't need to use it with cocoa coir. And the purpose of it is to reduce the acidity that you have in peat moss. When I talk about parts, it's basically whatever you're using for scooping. So in this case, I'm using a bowl. Parts are just ratios. So I could also do, for example, 4 parts or 4 bowls of my peat moss. And to that, I would add 2 parts of my vermiculite or 2 bowls of my vermiculite. And then I would sprinkle the top with my pulverized dolomitic limestone. After I've added all my ingredients, the next thing I like to do is add boiling water from a tea kettle and pour it over my seed starting mix. One reason for adding the water is simply to pre-moisten the mix. But a main reason for adding boiling water is to kill off the possibility of any fungus gnat eggs that might be found inside of the peat moss. I continue adding the boiling water. I want to make sure that the boiling water reaches all parts of the mix. And as I add the water, I just continue to mix the ingredients around. When I'm all done, I want to go ahead and tamp down the mix, and I'm using a spoon because I don't want to touch the mix with my hands. After that, I can put the cover on and let everything cool down before using the mix. When I squeeze the mix, I want to make sure that water is not dripping, because if it is, that means the mix is too wet. When I let go, the mix should hold its form. That's the perfect consistency for my seed starting mix to be added to my container pots. Next, let's go ahead and add the seed starting mix to our container. And then I want to press down lightly. And the reason we're doing that is so that we're eliminating any air pockets that might be in here. Here are the Snapdragon seeds that we're going to be sowing. These are seeds that I collected myself, and if you've never collected your own Snapdragon seeds, I definitely recommend it. I'll put a link to a video I made that shows the process for collecting Snapdragon seeds down below in case you want to check it out. And we're going to be sowing all 3 of these seeds in one restaurant takeout container. I don't mind sharing one type of container for all of these seeds because they're all the same variety of plant, meaning they're all going to germinate around the same time. I used a garden marker and I created labels for each of the different colors that we're going to be sowing the seeds for. For dividers, I just used plastic knives, and I just cut those dividers with this heavy-duty scissor. The seeds that I collected are a few years old, which is totally fine. That just means that not every seed will germinate. The little black specks that you see there, those are the seeds. But then there is also the non-seed material that's called the chaff. It is totally okay to go ahead and sow the seed with the non-seed material. When you collect your own seeds, it's inevitable, especially when the seeds are this small, that you're also going to get some of the non-seed material. It doesn't hurt. I used to spend a lot of time back in the day trying to separate every single little seed out. But when the seeds are this small, it's just time consuming, and in the long run, it doesn't make a difference. So I'm just sprinkling the seeds on here. I'm not too concerned about spacing. Again, Snapdragon seeds are very, very small. Sometimes when you buy Snapdragon seeds, they may be pelleted, or you might be able to take a toothpick, wet it, and place your seeds that way. I've never done that. I just mass sow them the way that you're seeing right here, and this works for me. And then eventually, when the seedlings get a little bit bigger, I'll show you my process for pricking these out and potting them up. And clearly, I'm not sowing every seed. You just never know what's going to come up. So we're sowing them early enough that if I feel I'm seeing poor germination for any of these colors, I can always go ahead and sow some more seeds. These seeds are a little bit newer. They are just a mix of different colors. And again, we're not going to sow all the seeds, just some of them. When it comes to my Snapdragons, I like to plant them just mixed with other annuals. And I typically plant them up along my front walkway. My plan for this year is probably to do the same thing, but I also want to tuck some in my long border. Especially when it comes to Snapdragons, I feel that the really tall ones, they just tend to flop over. And if I have them in the long border, I feel like they will be supported by other plants that are in there, which in my long border are a ton of perennials. And I think that would look really pretty to have a bunch of Snapdragons just mixed inside of there. A lot of people like to grow Snapdragons for cut flowers, and I generally just like to grow them as pretty flowers in my garden, not necessarily for cutting, but that doesn't mean I might not cut a few and put them in a vase just to enjoy. I don't typically worry about the different types. I know there's type 1, 2, 3, and 4, because again, I'm just collecting my own seeds that I find along the way and sowing them and having fun with them. For my light pink Snapdragons, they are also older seeds, so we'll see what kind of germination rate we get for them. Once again, we have a mix of a lot of seed as well as non-seed material in there. Totally fine. Snapdragon seeds need light to germinate, so what we're going to be doing is just pressing them into the soil surface. If you are going to cover them, you just barely want to cover the seeds. We will be covering them with vermiculite, and vermiculite still allows light to come in, but it more importantly retains moisture. Any seed that needs light to germinate and is surface sown can dry out. And if the seed dries out, then it's not going to germinate for you. Or if the seed is just barely starting to germinate and it dries out, then now it's gone. So this year I've been trying to show you in my videos, any seed that I'm surface sowing, I'm adding a very light layer of vermiculite to it. I tend to be pretty good about misting the top of my seeds, and I usually don't have a problem with it. But I know I've heard from a lot of you that, a lot of people tend to struggle with that. So I'd rather teach it so that you're adding vermiculite on any surface sown seed, just to get in that habit. That way, if you're not misting it every 1 to 2 days like I am, then as insurance, the vermiculite is going to retain the moisture for you. The vermiculite that I bought was not fine, so I had to go ahead and basically grind it down to make it fine. I would recommend, if you are going to use vermiculite, to try to buy fine vermiculite. And for whatever reason, if you ended up getting vermiculite and it wasn't fine, just go ahead and do whatever you need to do to grind it down to be smaller. I don't mind using the bigger pieces of vermiculite in my DIY seed starting and potting mix, but when it comes to sprinkling it on top, I definitely want it to be fine, just to allow the light to come in. And you just want to add a light layer. Can you get away with doing this without vermiculite? Absolutely, that's how I usually do it. But you just need to be mindful that the seeds on top cannot dry out. I've heard that the vermiculite also helps with keeping fungal issues at bay, such as damping off. I like to press down because I want to make sure that those seeds make good contact with the seed starting mix. I could have pressed down before adding the vermiculite or after. One thing I've learned about snapdragons and collecting their seeds is if you collect the seeds from a hybrid, then not only will it most likely not look like the original plant, but it might not even act nice for you. And what I mean by that, I know that sounds weird, is I had some red snapdragons that I collected the seeds from. And every year for the last 3 years, they would germinate for me, but they did not look healthy. They did not look good. So for that reason, I am not sowing those red hybrid snapdragon seeds. It's not worth it. Even though our seed starting mix is pre-moistened, we're still gonna spray the top. I like to use this small hand water pump sprayer. It works out really well. It gives a nice gentle mist on top of the seeds here. And then when I check on them every 1 to 2 days, I can give it a little mist again. And when I give the mist, I want it to be very gentle. If it's a very heavy stream, the seeds are gonna get dislodged, and not only that, the vermiculite's gonna go blowing everywhere. So I'm just gonna do a nice light spray to start with, and then an additional spray like this. Next, we're gonna add a humidity dome. That's just the cover that came with this tray, but you can use whatever you want as long as it's clear and it allows light to come in. Something that I've used in the past is plastic wrap. You can even put that on there. And the whole reason for doing this is, as the name states, it's a humidity dome. So it's gonna make it nice and humid, which is a great environment for those little seeds to wanna germinate in. Now, you know I love to winter sow a lot of plants. Snapdragons are not something I personally want to winter sow because they are a cool season plant, and by the time they would germinate in my milk jug, I don't have a long enough season to actually get a nice sized plant that blooms for me in the springtime. So what that means for me is I definitely want to enjoy blooms in the springtime. And then during the heat of the summer, there may be a slight lull. As long as I'm deadheading my plants, I hope to have more blooms in the late summer, early fall months. My tray is going to get placed under my LED shop lights. The lights are on a timer. They come on at 5 a.m., they go off at 9 p.m., so they're on 16 hours a day. Also, the lights are only going to be 2 inches above the tray. I want to make sure that I have nice, strong seedlings. If the lights are too high, my seedlings can get very leggy. Snapdragon seeds germinate best when the soil temperature is somewhere between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Even though I've done it in the past, I'm not planning to put these seeds on a seedling heat mat. My house stays generally warm, so I feel confident that they're going to germinate just fine given the temperatures that my house stays at. If your grow room is 60 degrees Fahrenheit or cooler, then you may want to consider putting your seeds on a seedling heat mat. The seeds will germinate sometime around 7 to 14 days after I've sown them. And since the seeds are surface sown, I want to make sure that those seeds don't dry out. So what I'm planning to do is just gently mist the seeds every 1 to 2 days until I see germination. As soon as I see about 50% germination, at that point it's important to remove the humidity dome. If I leave the humidity dome on too long, it's not a good environment for the seedlings, and I might end up getting fungal issues like damping off. Once that humidity dome gets removed, at that point I will also begin bottom watering my seedlings. I don't want to water them from above because once again that can cause damping off. The first set of leaves that you see on a seedling is called the cotyledon. The next set of leaves, those are called the true leaves. As soon as I see true leaves appearing, I will begin fertilizing my seedlings. I like to fertilize at a half a strength of whatever's shown on the packaging for my fertilizer. And for fertilizer, I've used Miracle Grow, but I've also used Espoma Grow. Once those seedlings are much larger, at that point I can give them a full strength of fertilizer. For seed starting, I like to keep track of everything in a Google spreadsheet. That way I can make adjustments. If I need to start my seeds earlier or later, I just update or make notes in my spreadsheet, and then I just refer to the spreadsheet year after year. On my channel, I have a seed starting playlist that has a ton of videos out there having to do with the grow lights behind me, my seed starting spreadsheet, issues I've run into when it comes to seed starting, as well as other videos on seeds I've sown. Definitely check out that playlist. I'll put a link to it down below as well as up above. I'll be sure to make future videos when it's time to pot up my seedlings, give them fertilizer, pinch them, get them hardened off, as well as put in my landscape. So be on the lookout for those videos. And remember, we only have so much space in our grow rooms, so it's important to only start what you can use. I have a backyard plant nursery where I sell plants, and I also have a lot of space in my garden that I'm trying to fill. So you'll often see me starting a lot of seeds, but don't feel you need to start that many. Just start what you can use. Let me know in the comments if you've started your Snapdragon seeds, and if not, when will you be starting them? And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.